Thinking we both experts, but we're not. They politically correct, but we're not. They might put their facts on check, but we're not. Personal growth is our shit, but we're not. Gonna coach you up to this, cause we're not. They say they're leaders, they're free thinkers, but we're not. Geeking, never ever tweaking, but we're not. We stay laughing, but we're not. But we're not. Insert label here. And we're back with another episode of But We're Not. I'm your host, Sunset Bari.
And I'm being divisive Dirk today. We already started off arguing before we even started the goddamn show.
We was arguing. Dirk was saying some bullshit.
No, Shane was saying some bullshit. But the thing is I didn't call his bullshit because you know what? There's two truths to every lie.
and that realization, folks, will help you so much further in life if you allow yourself to remember that there are many truths for every scenario.
You know what though? That actually, fuck it. That slingshots us in right to the topic today because that really is the interesting issue. Because before we even start on the topic, I want to preface it by saying we are very dogmatic with the way we see things because our world is also a reflection on how we see ourselves. And I feel like if you're not mindful though, that is the illusion that this isn't you. This relation is opposite. This is external. This is alien. And I think that's going to bring us into how do you want to preface this before we even start about the topic?
Yeah, so the only way I want to preface this topic is I want you guys, when you hear this, to go without judgment. I don't want you to immediately think of the answer. Like I kind of want you to let it ruminate in your heads. Like when I ask this question, don't just be like, oh well, you know what I'm saying? Like don't even try to answer. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't even try to answer. Just let the question or questions, let them sit with you for a good hour. You know what I'm saying? Hour or two. And you know, our episode's only gonna be 20 minutes. So you let it sit with you for a minute and then come back and be like, oh, okay, like maybe it's this, maybe it's that.
Isn't it interesting though that you only get defensive when you realize that something's attacking your identity? That's the only reason for defense. The people who aren't defensive are the people who aren't having any connection with these external things. They're just ready to learn. They're like, oh, interesting. Let me think of it this way then.
Or the people who can readily accept, you know, because you could just not be defensive. If you're just someone just like tells you something, and even if it is attacking your identity, you could be like, maybe it's facts.
Well, those are the people who learn is what I'm saying. People who get defensive. Yeah, the people who get defensive are the ones who are putting walls up for their ego.
Right.
Because it's always an attack on me. Anytime you get defensive, even if it's not personal, it's an attack on you. That's why people oftentimes get annoyed or angry about opinions that really have nothing to do with them. Like Israel and Palestine. They're getting defensive because it attacks their worldview.
Bro. That's on God. I have a boy who gets so defensive, like, because I've been bringing up, because I used to do some digital marketing for a guy who owned a clothing company out of Palestine. Yeah. And I was telling my boy this one time, and I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I seen a lot of shit, you know. I was like, I ain't fucking with Israel. And he's like, bro, how could you? I'm just like, yo, relax. Like,
and but that's just your opinion. It's not that you hate Israelis, not that you hate Jews. That's just your opinion.
I was like, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but from my point of view, it looks like one side is more wrong than the other.
Like, you know what's interesting about that? That's wrong, I would say too. Who's to say who's wrong or right? Because let's go with this. Who shot who first? Then we can say Israel's in the right. Well, who retaliated? Then we could say, you see what I'm saying? That's the problem.
Right.
Is we're always being defensive on one side or the other.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I think people are thinking just because
it hits them.
Well, just because one side is wrong means that the other side can't be. Like, because what I'm saying is not mutually exclusive. I'm not saying that, like,
I know you're not. Yeah, I know you aren't.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there aren't people doing foul things on both sides. But I'm just saying from the things that I've seen, I see one side doing foul things, and that's it. It's really not like a condemnation, like, and
it's interesting because you take to heart that you yourself don't know much about it.
Yeah,
and see, that's the issue. Most people put their personality into it. Like, I understand this dogmatic and this, and then like it's funny because like fucking with those people, because you know me, I'm very much a history reading buff and everything.
Divisive dirt.
I'll get them, and I'll catch them up on a lie, and I'll keep unraveling them. But really, what I'm doing is I'm attacking them because they don't realize that they're the ones taking everything personally. First off, you're not Jewish and you're not Palestinian, nor have you ever been there, yo. So it's how is it though that people connect with that? And let's go into the topic with that, because this is really going to sling us there.
Okay, yeah. So the topic for today, guys, is if you're doing everything right, but still coming up short when it matters, are you really doing everything right? And that's question one. And then we're going to answer this question as well. Maybe you're just not in the right position to win. Maybe you're on the completely wrong path. So I'm going to bring it back to that first question. If you're doing everything right, but still constantly coming up short when it matters, are you really doing everything right? Dirk, what you thinking?
Well, the issue there is, and people do think this way because I've been in this situation. I can only argue what I've experienced. First off, what is it that I believe is right? Boom, I'm already wrong, because that's perceptional, that's subjective, and it's hard to look objectively at the world when you're going into it with a subjective truth. So right there, I'm going into the world saying, okay, this is my idea of right, and I believe I am reaching that. That doesn't necessarily,
Oh, I was gonna say let's refrain from even being objective. Let's keep it very subjective. Exactly. Just that's
my argument.
Just for the purposes of this, let's say
that's the argument. So the argument is that it's subjective, but you're trying to take it into an objective world. So let's say objectively, to be able to become CEO of this company, you must do this, black and white, right? But you're going into it with this subjective resume, with this subjective purpose, with this subjective truth, and you're not necessarily hitting that CEO spot, but you get mad about that. You feel wrong, you feel attacked, and you don't know why you're not there, because you believe you're getting there. You believe you're hitting those truths. That's why I love this question so much. You believe you're doing everything right. The world owes you. You're doing it right. What the fuck's happening? Shay, go in really quickly. I see it.
Yeah, so the way I'm feeling is I feel like there are two essential indicators for a question like this. You've got that voice in the back of your head, and you've got, now some people got multiple, but I'm talking about the main the main one, Twitter. No. So the voice in the back of your head and your gut. Now, if the voice in your back of your head and your gut are both lined up, and they're just like, "Hey, we doing it right," fuck it, you doing it right then. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there's any, just because you've been met with failure doesn't mean that your success isn't over the hill.
Can you stay there really quickly? Somebody made this quote about your mind and your heart lining up. I would go also with the gut and the mind. Lining up equals true happiness. How is it that we're in a world though where insanity is living because the body's at war with itself? How does that line up in this questioning? Because we're looking at the good way. We're looking at the how to fix it. Yes, if it all lines up, you're good. But most aren't.
Right. Now if you not lined up, I think that's your first problem. Like that's where you fucked up, because if you're not lined up, then something about it isn't. You already know something about it isn't right. Like now
where did that come from?
Now, for instance, I would say if your gut or your heart, how your intuition, if that's not on key, I would say that you're definitely doing it wrong, because the voice in your back of your head can lead you astray, but your intuition, your heart, it will not lead you astray. It's going to take.
I disagree with that.
Interesting. And why so?
Because your intuition oftentimes leads you down wrong paths when it comes to relationships. Especially
has it led you down wrong paths?
Of course it has.
Because it hasn't led me down wrong paths.
Has it not?
No.
Have you never had rose-colored glasses on? Have you never looked at a situation emotionally?
My intuition keeps it a whole 100 with me, especially in relationships. It's like my intuition be the first one to be like.
So you never in your life went into a situation knowing, because of past experience, that a situation is going to be wrong, but you feel like this is what you want, this is what you need, and then you necessarily just disregard everything that would be intellectual about the situation.
Well, I wouldn't even say I done that. I would say, like, for instance, I had a relationship that I knew wasn't gonna last very long or go very far.
So you
just so I knew it, but I also liked it, and I just wanted to experience something new. I wasn't I wasn't risking with the fear of loss. Like I knew there was going to be a loss either way, because I was like, if I continue down this path,
Of
I see
course.
exactly where it's going. But I want to go down the path. Like you know what I'm saying? It was, but it wasn't like I had any regret in doing so.
Of course. No.
I gained so much from doing
Let's go
so.
back in time though, because I want to
Okay.
get this real, because I know you've been through this. Have you
Okay.
never once in your life, even as a kid, thought one thing and felt a different thing and went with how you felt and then paid for it in the end? Because I have a million times. It's human to do that.
Okay. So you're saying
Let's even go with eating food. I wanted that Twinkie, but I know
Mhm.
I have to work out tomorrow.
Mhm.
And now I feel like shit tomorrow and I'm throwing up everywhere because I ate that Twinkie. But I felt like that Twinkie was something I wanted. No situation like that ever?
Bro, normally my intuition is telling, like, for instance, right?
Well, Shane's
like,
God then.
no. It's just check this out. Like,
Mhm.
because the voice in the back of my head is really like I would say it's kind of like a Mamba mentality, like Kobe-esque, like voice that's just like, nah, like you gotta be. My intuition's more of like, hey, bro, like for instance, if I don't eat in the morning, say I'm doing a morning workout, right? If
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
eat,
fasting and stuff.
if I don't eat before I work out because of my acid reflux, I will throw up, given the high
Yes.
intensity of my workouts.
Okay.
And I know this to be facts. I have a long track list showing from football, 2-a-days, whatever. If I don't do that, if I don't eat a certain amount of food before I work out, I'm gonna throw up. But I've had times when my intuition has been like, bro, what the fuck you doing? And then my head is like, bro, come on, bro. You already here. You're already like Mamba mentality it out, bro. Don't be no bitch. Like, how you just gonna waste this whole all these precious weights? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the voice in the back of my head. Because the voice in the back of my head is kind of the one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's really my intuition. That's really the why. Really never led me astray, bro. That's
Never
no
once.
cap. Never once. Never led me astray.
Well, I believe you're lying about that, because I know throughout your life it has led you astray at least a few times. Just like my mind has led
bro.
me
But the
astray a
thing
few
is,
times.
I listen to the head a lot, and that's what leads me astray. But when I listen down here,
Mhm.
I'm golden, bro. When I listen down here, it's like snap. And but hold on, I think this brings me
Mhm.
actually to even a more interesting question, Dirk. So, are you sure you're able to properly distinguish between your intuition and that voice in your head?
Absolutely. All people are, actually. It's a lie that they can't.
All
That's why
people
I
are.
tell
Oh
people
my
about
goodness.
taking responsibility. Most people don't take responsibility, so they blame all their issues on other things. You know when your intuition, and you know when your feelings, and you know in your mind, your intellect and your emotional body are the two things in which you exist through in this physical realm. And most people blame everything else other than those two things. I have definitely failed on both ends of those two things. That's human. Um, and I think based on that is why I also said my statement in the beginning. Most people are blaming what's right on everything else rather than maybe they're just wrong. And it's not even about wrong and right. Wrong and right is a duality. It's I'm not meeting the standards of where I'm trying to reach. Because
Mm-hmm.
first off, if I'm trying to get into something, I'm out of it. That's already a thing. That's a fact. If I'm not in it,
Right.
I'm out of it. So I must reach the standards of the people in it, of the ones making the rules, of that system. So when I'm not reaching the standards of that system, I'm in the wrong. That's just how it is, black and white. But when it gets gray is when I start blaming other things for it and not understanding where is it coming from. That's when people don't take responsibility, though. That's when people don't meditate. They're not mindful. And I know you
Right.
are mindful. I know you meditate. I know you understand that. You and I are very big into that, though. We're very big into working out and exercising. We understand mind muscle connection. We know where the brachialis is. We know how to make that stretch. We know how to make that work. Most people have never stretched or worked the brachialis. That's the metaphor going into life. If you
Right.
never stretched your intuition, your emotional body, if you never stretched your intellect, your control body, not the chaotic body. The chaotic body is the emotions. Chaos and control need to be able to work in hand. That's yin and yang. I think you agree with me on that, because you yourself are mindful on most of those things. That's where we can agree.
Now, yes, I agree that these yin and yang properties need to work together. But actually, what I'm more curious about
get
is
in there,
because you said
Mhm.
you said that you believe that all people are able to distinguish between
I do.
their what do you call it, their voice in their
Their-
head and their intuition.
Yes.
Now the
The
reason
chaos
I
and the
would
control.
I would disagree is because when you look at, say, you're talking about people working out these muscles,
Yes.
right? Now I just want to use this muscle just in particular because it's a muscle that when I took ballet in university, the ballet instructor had me stick my leg out while I was laying flat and take my heel and rotate it up towards the sky.
Yeah.
Now that muscle is your gluteus medius.
Yep.
And before that, I never actually isolated and used my gluteus medius.
Exactly.
So unless it was shown to me, and we actually had these cool little like rotator things on the floor where we'd stand straight on them and rotate our feet like this, and that would activate the gluteus medius right there. But if you had told me before that day, hey, activate your gluteus medius, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
But after doing so, after being properly instructed, I could do it and I understood. But
I have a retort against this entire thing.
And so what I'm saying is, if a person has not been properly instructed, or they haven't had the mentorship or even like elite whatever,
They're not
have
be able to get it. I see your
exactly.
You're talking about hyper specialization. That's a completely different.
I don't even know what hyper specialization means.
So that means I am now really digging into something. So a person walking using all the muscle doesn't necessarily know what they're using. They're still using their muscles. A person stretching the rectus femoris or the gluteus medius. Most people don't even know what the rectus femoris is.
Right.
That's hyper specialization.
Right.
So using the musculature and using a specific muscle is completely different. People are better thinkers and better feelers than other people.
No. But
thinking.
But here's what I'm saying. After having that specialization of using that gluteus medius, I'm now able to feel when I'm using it regularly.
Of course.
But
no, you're better at it.
Without that isolation exercise, you would have been like, are you still not using your muscles?
Are you still not using your muscles though? You see, that's where the responsibility comes in. People exist and have agency in the world, but then the excuse is I don't know what I'm doing. So first, that should have been the first place to start at. No one ever starts there though. It's always something else. It's always an external factor. That's the reasoning for why you're in the wrong. And see, what you're saying is a perfect example. You actually took the time to hyper specialize and feel each of those muscles. And not only that, even better, you had a teacher teach you how to do it. So you yourself know you didn't know how to do it.
Right. And exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm very grateful for that experience. Of course. And I think more people, maybe even parents,
learn? Yeah.
More people need to expose others on how to properly identify this voice in their head and their intuition, because when you're able to properly identify, I think you'll be moving more clearly, and this answer will be more like you'll be able to get to the answer of this question much more easily.
But what's the answer of the question? Because that's the issue. There is no answer to this question. The answer of, am I doing something correctly? Because the more you go into this, the more you work out, as I'm sure you'll understand, is the more you realize there's so much more I have to do that I'm not even reaching to. And then at the end of the day, there's never anything I'm ever going to get to, because there's always more working out to do. So the issue is most people are just sitting there doing nothing and blaming everything for their nothingness.
Right. But now think about it this way. If you have a set of goals, then that's the only real way you can say, am I on the right path? You know what I'm saying? Because
I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
And if you're like, because now we're back to the objective, because now it's like,
that's when we go to objective. Exactly.
And because now you'll see, well, so I think the first answer to this question is, do you have goals? Or the first retort to this question is, do you have goals?
I like that, actually, Shane, that you just said that. That's very important you said that. So as a subjective being, you need something objective to anchor yourself to. Otherwise, you'll go in. Most people with insanity, they're hearing all these voices. They're feeling all these feelings because nothing in the real world is anchoring them. And that's when it gets scary, because this place can actually get to you to a place of insanity. Most people don't think that. If you don't control this mind and these emotions, you can go insane. You can go bipolar. And that's really what it is. And this is real. This is not just us joking around anymore.
Yeah.
We're in a world where there's just a bunch of zombies and people who don't know how to use their mind or their emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the absence of acceptance and that absence of presence is definitely what will cause someone to tip over into these insanity and bipolar and these sort of but back
mental
to
awareness month, mental health awareness month.
Let's get it. And so if you're able to identify, I have goals, and here are what these goals are, then you can accurately see, like, or maybe not accurately, but you can look on a chart and be like, you can measure and be like, okay, well, if I did I do this, this, and this, because that would have took me closer to this, and that's a fine way of seeing if you're on the right path. Now, granted, I believe if someone has their goals and they are coming at this objectively, they're like, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this.
Exactly.
I did that, and I'm still nowhere. I'm not even like a step closer to this goal than I was at. And okay, so I think when a person is in a situation like that, it's important to identify, is this goal logical for you? Like, does this goal align with your higher self, with your emotional center? Because there are certain things that you might have a natural skill for, you are destined for. So even though this is a goal for you,
you're talking about meritocracy now. I was waiting for you to get to this.
Explain what meritocracy is. I don't know what that means.
Well, meritocracy is the idea of a society rewarding those who are talented in their respective fields. Hence why we have LeBron James, and we like LeBron James. LeBron James is the best basketball player. He deserves it, right? We feel like he deserves it because he is good.
Yeah.
But we're living in a society now where they're trying to break down meritocracy, yet the talented still prevail. Why is that? Because of natural selection. There is a certain amount of natural talent or genetics that you have in your system to either be a mathematician, to be a leader, to be a caregiver. And most people always never want to take that in consideration because that's themselves. They can never point the finger at themselves. I am not good enough, maybe. Okay. And that's scary. That's scary.
So when it comes to an idea like like meritocracy, and you see that you're finding that people are doing what they're really good at and some people aren't, why do you think some people continue to do those things where it's like I was saying, where you do so many things objectively and you're still not closer to the goal? Because I think that, to me, a certain amount, a certain number, I'm going to be like, all right, let me try something else, because you could be misaligned.
That's why, Shane, what you just said right now, I actually just did a podcast on this. What you just said there is exactly why people aren't willing to do that. The 1% of society know when they're a failure, and that's why they're successful. The 99% of society are so blind they can't see failure. They just deserve success in their mind. I know when I am shitty at something. I'll just say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's turn it away. Let me put energy towards this now. That's what you just said right there. And that's scary. It's terrifying.
So could the answer to this question be, the ability to identify your strengths and connect with your inner self will really always bring you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Now I just want to give our beautiful audience some tips. Dirk, what are some tips to not necessarily identify your strengths, because I think that's a very loose question. What are some tips to connect further with oneself outside of, say, the voice in your head, maybe with your intuition?
I like what you were saying, even though I was arguing with you. This is going to bring it back. There is a certain amount of intuition all human beings have, and that will naturally bring you somewhere. You already know if you're good at something or not.
Right.
It's just not lying to yourself. There has to be a way to stop lying to yourself. Now, how does one do that? How does one stop lying to yourself? Well, you must start at being mindful and look at yourself in the mirror. Before meditation, can you even look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I love what I'm doing. I know that I'm proficient at what I'm doing. I actually can see myself excelling at this. And there's not necessarily competition to me because I am set. I'm good. I found my place.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doubting yourself in any way? Shane, you brought it up perfectly. If you feel like there's any doubt at all, a lot of my family members, a lot of my brothers, a lot of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
they're all great football players, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to the NFL.
Right.
It's the sad truth. So can you look yourself in the mirror and start to tell yourself how to live your life? Because no one else is going to tell you. That's the practice.
I have another question, because you brought up something I want to touch on, which is doubt. Now, let's suppose someone is great at something, but they lack this internal self-confidence.
Very interesting.
That allows them to say to themselves, yo, you're good at this. Like, they lack so much self-confidence that they don't say that to themselves that they're good at anything. They just, like, their internal monologue is let's say the opposite. It's, you're not so good at that. You should give that. Like, you know what I'm saying? How could they improve at identifying their strengths?
So it's funny because it's the same amount of confidence you need to be able to tell yourself that you're shitty at something is the same amount of confidence you have to tell yourself. Talk that talk. It's the same amount of confidence you need to go in knowing that I'm the best at this and no one else can be me. Much as like I do with my acting career, much as like you do with your acting and your singing. We have a certain amount of objective success that we can also bleed into our subjective mindset. So I know I'm a good actor not only because I book things and I made money off of it, and managers and agents and people in the professional realm above me have looked down and said I'm good. But now me, I know that I'm good because I'm going to a place that I wasn't before. So it's really a building block thing. I built my confidence, and I've also was born with it in a way of which my mom and dad gave it to me.
Now hold on. In which way did you build your confidence? Give us.
Here we go. So I built it through it's warfare, it's battle. This world's it's a game. So you have to have a certain amount of victories in and of yourself. And now that victory comes on again to what are your goals. And I think that is very beautiful that you said that. If you're not having goals and you're not reaching them and completing them, you don't have a sense of accomplishment. Human beings, the way our mind works is, which is why consumerism works and capitalism works. We like to get things. It makes our brains go off. It gives us serotonin. It gives us testosterone. It gives us that victory complex. So if you're not working on any of that, what's the point of your energy? Where is that going? Shane, I want you to answer this too, because I mean,
So one of the best ways that I built my confidence, rap music, specifically Kanye West, first 3 or 4 albums, you hop in there, that shit's gonna get you correct. Hubris. Now hubris,
I love that.
Hubris, as you know, is a tool. But if you say to yourself something a certain amount of times, you will start to believe it. So you can trick your subconscious.
I love that belief.
You can trick your subconscious into belief. And what I would do is, even if somebody said otherwise, I just say all the time, no, I'm the shit. I'm the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm the best. I'm the baddest motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Knowing full well that wasn't true. But
that's measurable now. But that's the thing. You reach those goals.
And that's the thing. You say that to yourself enough time, you start to walk different. Like, you just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need a constant mouth by your ears that's saying, because if you have voices in your head saying one thing, you need some voices in your head saying another thing. So this is called a passive hypnosis. So you can passively hypnotize yourself into being a more confident person, which will help you better identify your strengths and live a better life more suited to you. Because
it's not black and white like you were saying, because at the end of the day, you have to be able to measure this off of something. Otherwise, you can get into a place where you don't have the talent and you're telling yourself a lie, or you can get into the place where you have the talent and you're also telling yourself a lie that you're not good enough.
Right.
So it's hard for us to be able to teach you. All you and I, Shane, are doing is telling people how we've done it.
And that's really all we can do. You know, I could tell you how I done it, or I could cite a brilliant motherfucker who's just saying how he done it. So at the end of the day, you know, if you need help with that, then I would say definitely reach out to someone who does know. You know?
Especially, who does know? Who's better
Yeah,
than you? That
yeah.
ballet teacher that you were talking about. That's why I
It,
love that you brought that up.
exactly, because if you know you ain't got it, but you ain't asking somebody who got it, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
How do you even know you're good at something on the flip side if you've never tried it? There's
right?
two sides to this coin.
Yeah,
You might be the fucking best player in the fucking world and you're just not confident, or you might be the fucking shittiest person in the world and you have energy in the wrong area.
right. So, guys, it's very important to get the fuck out of your shell and step beside yourself. Take a look.
Yeah.
Line up your goals, be like, all right, what's going on? And then take it from there. But also, don't play yourself.
I have one more thing, Shane, really quick, because on the don't play yourself, because
yeah.
You need people in your circle, like Shane and I, like my other friends, like your friend Shane, who check you.
Yes.
Who will check your ass. Hey, yo, you're fucking out of line, bro.
Yeah, like you're I'm gonna tell you right now, you're wilding. Like, I've seen you in high places. This is not it. Like,
this is not where you should be. Or bro, you're killing it right now, man. I got your back all the fucking way. Because I hate those people in the squad. I have this right now, and I'm sure you have this too, who really aren't rooting for you. Like, then why are you in my team?
But if I find this off, you're cut. And also, if you're a yes man, you're cut. Because
I don't need any of that. Yeah,
it's like, I have a guy on my team, and I come up with these designs for my new line. He's like, oh, I don't he's like, I love all these, but I'm not fucking with this. Now, I need a person who's gonna say I'm not fucking with this. Now, I'm still gonna go with it, but
because that's your
because it's hot as shit, and I said so. But it's like, if you don't have people that's even willing to step to you and be like, yo, that's not it right there. It's gonna be harder for you to make those self analysis when you're looking at, because if everyone's just saying yes to you, you're just gonna be like yes to everything you think, and everything you think ain't it. Like,
and you think you good, you think you hot shit.
You go.
That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
That was not it, Chief.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so so we cover a lot of things in this episode, but most importantly, we're not your consultants until you pay a retainer, of course.
I'm not your spiritual guru until you pay a retainer.
Until you pay a retainer, of course. You cannot go without paying a retainer. You must pay the
retainer. Man, just try to be your best selves at the end of the day, guys, because we can't do that for you.
Yeah,
we're not you. We're not you.
And be real. Be real. Keep it real. Remember, guys, the truth often hurts,
and it will set you free.
It will set you free. And I want all my people free. And with that, we out, baby.